night and I'm very tired, but I'm gonna show you how to make enchiladas. So let's get started. The first step was to wash and prep all of the veggies. As you can see here, I'm just chopping the tomatoes. I'm not being too precise because it's all going into the blender anyways. And now you're gonna watch me struggle with the onion peel for a little bit because it didn't want to come off. So we're still here chopping away, this time at the onion. Enchiladas are a peasant dish in Jalisco, which is the part that I grew up in. It's commonly served with cabbage, onion, cotija or queso fresco, and those are cheeses, and sour cream. If you had it or could afford it, you could put meat in it, but the traditional way is just the cabbage and onion and cheese. Now I'm just getting started on the cabbage, taking off the old brown leaves so that we can get to the nice pretty purple ones in the center. And now you're gonna see me struggle with the knife and the cabbage, but it's okay. I ended up getting through it, as you can see. And I'm just gonna cut it into more manageable pieces so that I'm not cutting a big hunk of cabbage. I think I chose this dish because it reminds me of living at home. As everyone's aware, I went to a boarding school for most of my teenage years, so I didn't get to see my family very often. And whenever I would visit home, my mom would ask me what I wanted her to make me, and almost every time I asked for this. I think there was a few times I didn't, but it was almost always enchiladas. Now we're gonna be soaking our cabbage. You wanna make sure that you use cold water for this or the leaves can get kind of soggy. We're also gonna be putting in our vinegar. I added some salt and white pepper to this, but forgot to record, so oops. We're also gonna put our chicken stock to boil. I didn't have fresh chicken stock, so I'm using store-bought, but it's fine. We're also going to start prepping our cheese. I'm using queso fresco. Feel free to use cotija if you want. Queso fresco is a pretty soft and pretty crumbly cheese. You can break it pretty easily with your fingers, like I'm doing right now. I'm just breaking it apart, getting it into smaller chunks. I'm not being very precise. I'm using my hands after all. I just want them small enough so that they can fit on a tortilla. After I finish crumbling the cheese, I add a little Mexican oregano. You don't want to add too much or it'll overpower the flavor of the cheese. Side note, you're gonna get a lot of close-ups like this in my video. I don't know why. Blame my cameraman. Anyways, now we're gonna be toasting the chilies. You need to watch them because they could burn like that and you'll be like, oh my god, what happened? I just turned around for a second, and they'll be burnt. So you need to make sure that you watch them. You just want them nice and toasted. Make sure you leave the window open or your house is gonna be filled with chile smell and everyone's gonna be hacking up a lung. Now that our piquin chilies are roasted and set to the side, we are going to be cleaning and de-seeding our rista chilies. And this is very important because we already have kept the seeds of the piquin chilies and we don't want this to be too spicy. We just want the flavor of the rista chili, the nice smoky flavor. Now we're gonna be washing them out. My mother says this is to take out any bitter taste and also to remove any stuck on seeds that were too stubborn to get out. After your chilies are washed, you are going to put them into that hot stock. It's just going to give the stock a nice flavor because that's what we're going to be using for our sauce. And you're going to keep them in there until they're floppy like that. It's blender time. So now we're going to be putting our onion, our tomato. I don't know why that tomato fell like that. It's being dramatic. We're also going to be putting in our piquin and rista chilies. I've already put 2 garlic cloves in there and add our stock. And then we're going to blend it up. Another close-up. I don't know what that's about, you guys. So now we're putting our stock in. You don't want to put too much, just enough so that it blends pretty easily. So now it's time to blend, and I'm using the pulsing setting instead of the regular smoothie setting at first, just to get everything moving, make sure nothing gets stuck. I've noticed that if you go straight in with just the smoothie setting, things can get stuck and there'll be more lumps and clumps and things like that. And now I'm just making sure that it's nice and smooth. There's no chunks of anything. I think there was, so I blended it a little bit more. Now it's nice and smooth. And now we are going to be straining the sauce. You want to make sure that you strain your sauce just so that first of all, it sticks to the tortilla better, but also because there's chili seeds in there and there's all of that leftover tomato and onion, so you just want a nice smooth consistency. And you're gonna keep mixing it with your spoon until it becomes that type of pasty look in the strainer. We're just going to be moving the sauce to the stove to get it ready for plating. Leave your sauce on a very low heat. Next, we're going to add the oil to the pan. You're going to turn it to medium-high heat, and I'm using Mazola corn oil. I totally forgot until the very end that I had to cut a whole other onion for my plating, so here's me scrambling to do that now. I'm cutting them into little half moons. You want to cut them pretty thin because they're going to go into the enchilada. Fun fact, corn tortillas have been made for thousands of years. The first recorded use of corn tortillas dates roughly 10,000 BC. sorry for all the onion content, but I had to pad the video out somehow. Now comes the exciting part, actually frying and assembling the enchiladas. You don't want to leave the tortilla in the oil for too long. Like, you can even see that mine got a little too brown, but that's okay. It's still going to taste good. It just can make the tortilla fall apart a little bit easier, so keep that in mind. So now we're going to assemble our enchiladas. I'm putting in the cabbage, the onion, and the cheese. The usual serving is about 2 enchiladas per person, but this is Jeremiah's plate and he asked for 4, so he's getting 4. I like this dish because it's vegetarian. Mexican cuisine doesn't have too many vegetarian dishes, so I really like that I have this in my back pocket for when I'm not really feeling like having something too heavy, but I still want something flavorful and comforting. I hope you all had as much fun as I did making this. It was super interesting trying to figure out how to record in my kitchen, and I hope you all liked it. Thank you so much.